I wasn't sure if you were actually going to come." Penny smiled as she held open the door for Kevin. When Kevin arrived at Penny's mansion out in the suburbs, she greeted him at the door and invited him in. He was there to help create a pill to help Penny's friend, who was very ill. But he was surprised to find out that Penny had some friends there hanging out with her. As soon as he walked inside, Kevin was stunned. It wasn't because of all the luxurious furniture and expensive artwork, but because of all the beautiful women hanging out by the pool. Suddenly, he heard a charming voice. "Penny, who is this man you've brought with you? He's just your type, isn't he?" The woman sauntered over to Kevin and lifted up his chin. "He's very handsome, but he's dressed in rags." She paused a moment and asked him, "Tell me, sugar, what's your name?" Kevin stammered, unsure how to deal with her. After all, he had just spent the day before with his wife, Lily. He couldn't let someone like Penny distract him from his goal of reuniting with Lily. "Come on, Brenda, let's not do this again. I didn't bring Kevin here to entertain you." Penny was a little irritated by her friend's behavior. Penny's other friends heard this and came over to check Kevin out. They were a little confused to see him interrupt their get-together. They all knew that Penny hadn't had a steady boyfriend in years, so who was this guy? She was usually interested only in really rich, successful men. At the same time, Kevin was wondering about Penny's friends. Based on her status, he was pretty certain that they were all from very wealthy families. "What are those rags you're wearing?" one of them asked him. "Don't they make you feel uncomfortable?" "Keep your voice down. He's Penny's guest." One of the other women didn't want to offend their host. They were interrupted by a sharp cry. "Kevin, how dare you come here?" Out of the corner of his eye, Kevin could see a figure walking up to him quickly from the doorway. She was tempted to take a swing at Kevin, but picked up on his strong presence and stepped back a little. "Mackenzie," Kevin whispered to himself. He'd recognized her right away as Mackenzie Knott, Penny's friend that Kevin had accidentally seen changing her clothes on a video call when he'd stolen Penny's phone. Mackenzie leaned in and whispered into Kevin's ear, "If you say a word about that video to anyone, I'll kill you. I can't have my friends find out." Before Kevin could reply, Penny stepped forward. "What's the matter with you, Mackenzie? What are the two of you arguing about?" She knew her friend had a hot temper, but she also knew that Mackenzie wasn't in the habit of picking fights with people for no reason at all. "It's just a misunderstanding, Penny. I don't have any idea who this woman is." Kevin tried his best to keep from embarrassing Mackenzie. "I don't know him either." Mackenzie turned her head and looked Penny in the eyes. Then she asked her, "Why did you bring this guy here? We were all having such a good time without him." Penny figured it was as good a time as any to introduce him to her friends. "His name is Kevin, and we're in the same class at the School for the Healing Arts. I invited him here to prepare an herbal med for Mackenzie." Penny felt it was necessary to explain because she could see the confusion in Brenda's eyes. "You're going to let him make a pill for Mackenzie? Penny, are you kidding?" Brenda sneered. One of the other women had her doubts too. "The med that Mackenzie needs would be difficult for a master apothecary to create, let alone some ordinary person." They couldn't believe that this young man dressed in shabby clothes would be able to do something so specialized. They all started to mock Kevin. "Are you sure he can do this, Penny? Herbal meds aren't a joke." Brenda frowned because she was so worried that this could go wrong. "Don't worry." Penny looked at Kevin with a smile and said, "My good friend Mackenzie needs a blood balance pill. Can you create one for her?" Keeping his talent a secret, Kevin tactfully asked, "The blood balance pill is used for someone who's been injured. It seems to me that she's doing fine right now. Is there some other reason you've chosen it?" "Well, Kevin, Mackenzie's been training since she was a child. Her family is really into it and they know a lot about herbal meds. The problem is she has a really hard time with unbearable pain once a month, if you know what I mean. Have you ever heard of Penny hesitated because she knew it was a very personal issue for her friend, but she was desperate to help Mackenzie and decided to tell Kevin the whole truth. "Penny, how can you tell him something like that?" Mackenzie looked absolutely horrified. She and her friends had spent a lot of time and effort trying to find a cure for her, but when they finally found a recipe that might help, they couldn't find anyone qualified to prepare it. She was desperate. When he heard this, Kevin suddenly thought of something that he'd learned in his studies. If her problem is what you described, the blood balance pill can only cure the symptoms, not the root cause. "Oh, you mean you have a better way?" Penny's face lit up in surprise. If Kevin was right, there might be another solution. Why not try it? But some of them wondered if Kevin was just trying to impress them, and they eyed him suspiciously. He seemed to be promising something he probably couldn't do. How could they trust him? "I think he's trying to trick you, Penny. You should just show him the door." Mackenzie didn't want to have anything to do with Kevin in this crazy plan. "Don't worry, Mackenzie." In fact, Penny wasn't completely sure herself. Then she added, "Why don't we at least listen to him?" With an all-knowing smile, Kevin thought to himself, "These people have been doubting my power since the second I walked through the door. It will be fun to prove them wrong." Turning to Penny, Kevin announced, "The blood balance pill could help the symptoms a little bit, but it sounds like Mackenzie's problem has been around since childhood. We really need to do something to get at what's causing her problems." Having said that, Kevin stopped for a moment and then asked cautiously, "Have you ever heard of the repair pill?" Everyone's eyes bugged out when they heard him say that. The repair pill was only a myth as far as they were concerned. It hadn't been used in a ridiculously long time, and the closest thing to it was strictly controlled by the Herbalist Society. But Mackenzie didn't have any connections to the society, so it was impossible for her to get one. "Can you actually make a repair pill?" Penny asked in shock. She'd been worried about her friend constantly and was willing to try anything. That's the whole reason she'd brought Kevin over to her place. "I'm sure I can do it," Kevin said with confidence. "But that's impossible. Nobody knows how to make the repair pill anymore." Mackenzie was the first one to object to the plan. "Are you trying to poison our friend with your nonsense? Do you know what we can do to you if you hurt her?" Brenda was staring daggers at Kevin. She looked like she wanted to gouge his eyes out. Kevin pursed his lips. "I can definitely do it. Only I have one condition." "What condition is that?" Penny looked a little unsure when she saw Kevin smiling so strangely. "If I make the repair pill, then Mackenzie has to apologize for underestimating me." He spoke softly, but they all heard him loud and clear. "You wish!" Mackenzie shot back. The rest of the women frowned at Kevin's demand. After all, Mackenzie was a very important person, not someone to trifle with like that. But if Kevin could really make a repair pill, it would prove that he was greater than all the current experts working in herbal medicine. To do this at such a young age meant his potential was limitless. It was a lot to ask of someone, but if he failed, Mackenzie's friends were sure to get even with him. While everyone was hesitating, Penny suddenly said, "Okay, I promise. As long as you can make the repair pill, you'll get what you want. Even though she can be difficult, Mackenzie always listens to me. You'll get your apology." "It's a deal," Kevin said casually. "But I also have a condition. You must do it right now. There's a quiet room in the basement of my mansion, and it's been set up with a lot of expensive herbal ingredients." Penny clearly wanted to get her friend some help as soon as possible. "No problem, but you can't watch me while I'm doing it." Kevin sounded very firm about this requirement. Then he turned to Penny and said, "Lead the way." Penny gestured for Kevin to follow her. On the way to the stairs, she asked her sisters to stay on the main floor and enjoy themselves while she was gone. A few minutes later, Kevin saw what Penny meant about the quiet room. As soon as he entered the basement, Kevin was stunned. The lab took up the entire floor, the whole footprint of the house. There were loads of medicinal materials on the mahogany shelves along the walls, and there was a large bronze bowl with a burner set up in the middle of the room. Wow, Penny really prepared for this. I wonder if she wants to learn to be an herbalist too, Kevin thought to himself. I had people search all over the country to find all the medicinal ingredients down here. You can use whatever you need for the repair pill. Then Penny walked out so that Kevin would have a quiet environment to work. Well, I'd better get busy. Kevin rubbed his hands together and then hurried over to the shelves to select all the exotic herbs he would need. Kevin was tempted to make another pill that he'd always wanted to try just for the practice, but decided to focus on the repair pill first. More than an hour later, Kevin took the lid off of the preparation bowl and removed a handful of pills. Yes, these look good to me. Kevin proudly looked at the pills he'd just made and grinned broadly. After putting the repair pill into a small medicine bottle for Mackenzie, Kevin put the rest into his pocket. Suddenly, his body tensed up. He turned around and took a few steps backwards when he saw a dark figure walk up behind him. He hadn't been aware that someone else was in the room until he heard them breathing. "Who are you?" Kevin asked cautiously. The person seemed dangerous and Kevin had been caught a little off guard. But they didn't answer Kevin's question right away. "Are you a member of the Sutherland family?" Kevin glanced around the basement and tried his best to find a way out. "Please don't jump to any conclusions. I'm helping Penny to make some herbal pills. I'm not a burglar or anything." Suddenly, the person's eyes seemed to light up, and their breathing suddenly changed. Kevin didn't really know what to make of this. Were they there to hurt him? "Trust me, I'm just here to help Penny out." Kevin started to get ready to fight. He thought to himself, I didn't expect Penny to have someone like this watching over her. But when Kevin looked into the person's eyes, it was like staring at a wolf. He could hear his own heartbeat. "I'm here to bring you to the party. Let me invite you to come with me." The person's voice was very cold, without the slightest emotion, and it was also neutral. You couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman. The party? Kevin suddenly thought of something. Wasn't today the Alliance leader's birthday? His mentor, the Night King, had warned him about the importance of attending. "Well, can you let me take the medicine upstairs first? Then I'll go to the headquarters with you." Kevin spoke quickly. "I've offended the Alliance messenger." The person suddenly moved toward Kevin. "Don't do it!" Kevin stepped forward too, and they both collided in an explosion of energy. Penny, Mackenzie, and the other women were all lounging around on the sofas in the living room upstairs. "Penny, do you really think Kevin can make a repair pill?" Brenda asked seriously. "To tell you the truth, I don't know why so many people at the school treat him like a loser. He can often do some unexpected things." Penny had a thoughtful look in her eyes. "Even though he dresses in cheap clothes, I know he's not short on cash. I'm pretty sure he's got a lot of secrets." "So he's probably just throwing his family's money around. What's the big deal?" Mackenzie pouted and said angrily, "But I'm still not going to beg him for the repair pill." "Mackenzie, what's the deal with you and Kevin?" But before Penny had finished speaking, she jumped up as she heard a loud bang, and then the whole mansion began to shake, as if there were an earthquake. "What's going on? Was there an explosion?" One of the women shouted in panic as she fell to the floor. "Calm down, it's not an earthquake, it's something else, and it sounds like it's coming from the basement." Brenda immediately got up from the sofa. "The basement? Oh no, Kevin!" Penny shouted as she quickly ran toward the stairs to the basement. When she and her friends got downstairs, there was no trace at all of Kevin. All they saw was a mess. All kinds of medicinal ingredients were strewn about the floor, and even the large preparation bowl was knocked over, with a puff of smoke wafting out of the burner. To Penny's surprise, a huge hole had appeared in the basement wall, and you could see a sliver of moonlight shining in. "Kevin ran away?" Mackenzie was the first to react and said angrily, "I told you he was lying to you, Penny." "No, it's something else. There was a fight down here." Brenda looked around the room warily. She was the most skilled fighter in the group. If anything happened, it would be up to her to protect her friends. But where's Kevin? Penny thought to herself. I can't believe that I forgot about the Alliance leader's birthday party, Kevin told himself as he sat next to the mysterious Alliance member in an unmarked car. It was a dark night, and there was a cool wind blowing across the Alliance headquarters property. Kevin had been blindfolded by the Alliance member and had no idea where he was. Taking a deep breath, he thought about how his wife, Lily, might worry about him. The last thing that he needed was for her to come looking for him. On top of that, it was the Alliance leader's birthday, and Kevin hadn't shown up yet for the celebration. He wasn't sure if he'd been taken to the Alliance headquarters to be punished. Just then, someone opened the car door and escorted Kevin into an enclosed building. Just as Kevin got his grounding, a hand reached forward and removed the blindfold. Madam Director, I've brought Kevin back like you asked. The person who'd abducted Kevin stepped back from him and waited for further instructions. You've done a good job. You can leave now. I'd like to be left alone with our messenger to discuss some business. The director was stretched out on the bed in her private quarters. Yes, Madam Director. Her assistant turned around and left the room. Kevin and the director were alone for the first time since they'd last seen each other, and the atmosphere got a bit awkward. Looking into her beautiful eyes, Kevin remembered how days before he had been drugged and accidentally slept with her. He couldn't let anything like that happen again. His relationship with Lily meant too much to him. Do you think you can untie my ropes now? It was a little cramped in that car and I needed to stretch. Kevin broke the uncomfortable silence with a smile. To tell you the truth, Kevin, I'm not sure that would be a good idea. The Alliance director slowly stood up and walked toward him. She was wearing a flattering light blue dress, and Kevin could smell her delicate perfume. He thought about what had happened last time and gulped nervously as he worried that she might have feelings for him. Madam Director, if you have something to tell me, just go ahead and say it. But I don't think I need to be tied up like this. Have I done something wrong? Kevin tried his best to smile and lighten the atmosphere. Well, have you done anything wrong? Only you would know that. She pulled out a sharp knife and quickly sliced off the ropes around Kevin's wrists and ankles. What I'd like to know is how things are going with your mission. It's been a long time and I haven't had a report from you. Her tone was firm and a little cold. Oh, there's no problem at all, ma'am. It's just that I haven't turned up anything yet, Kevin coolly replied. For one thing, there are a lot of experts to deal with on the campus. I've turned the whole library upside down, but I couldn't find anything at all about the consolidation technique. I told you that the secret recipe and method are in the hands of the Southwest School of Healing. What are you doing in the library of the Chicago School? She was obviously irritated that Kevin had wasted so much time. It's part of my plan, Madam Director. From what I've seen, the real experts in the school spend a whole lot of time lurking in the library. Taking a step back from the director, Kevin continued. So even though the head of the Southwest School has the secret technique, they're at the School for the Healing Arts right now in Chicago. I've been going there for a while, but I haven't met all the professors, let alone the dean. The library's the only place where I have a chance to get my hands on the consolidation technique. Kevin shrugged helplessly as he explained his strategy to the director. You always seem to outsmart me, don't you? I like that in a man. The beautiful Madam Director smirked as she seductively stepped towards Kevin. She looked deeply into Kevin's eyes. After thinking carefully about it, she felt that what he had just said made sense, so she dropped the subject. But I'm still wondering why you didn't make the effort to get to the Alliance leader's birthday on time. The director sounded very serious as she scolded Kevin for his oversight. Do you know what consequences you'll face if you don't show up as the Alliance's messenger? Oh, so you sent someone to get me because you were afraid that I'd get in trouble? Kevin smiled mischievously at the director. If he was picking up correctly on her signals, the director had a crush on him, and he knew that the only way to get out of this situation was to make her think that she had the power. "Don't be ridiculous, Kevin. I promoted you to the position of messenger. You really should take things more seriously." The director scolded him again, but it was hard for her to hide her true feelings as she batted her lashes at him. Then a strange look flashed across her eyes as she thought about the night she and Kevin had spent together. In fact, she hadn't been able to stop thinking about him ever since. "Please calm down. I didn't come back to make a report because I just couldn't bear to face you." Kevin quickly explained why he'd been so aloof. "I've been doing my best to carry out the mission you gave me so I can repay you for all that you've done for me. But it's been impossible to track down the consolidation technique, and I've had a lot of serious fights and injuries." Kevin paused his explanation for a moment as he tried to think of what to say next. But when the director heard that Kevin had been injured, her eyes softened, and she reached out to stroke his shoulder. "Where were you hurt? Have you recovered yet? We have a lot of remedies for internal injuries. I would never forgive myself if anything happened to you." Thinking of his commitment to Lily, Kevin quickly took a step back from the director's longing touch. "Don't worry. It was only a superficial injury. I recovered from it a long time ago. Now I really should go and wish your husband a happy birthday." "Kevin, I'm the Alliance leader's wife, so that means that you have to do whatever I tell you to do. And if you disobey me, I could have you killed." Seeing her hands reach towards him, Kevin quickly sidestepped her and shook his head. "Madam Director, are you sure that this is something your husband would approve of?" "My husband hasn't thought about me in years, Kevin. Please tell me that you feel the same way." Kevin took a deep breath and thought to himself, "I have to be very careful. If I upset her, there is a chance that she'll tell her husband about what happened between me and her. He won't care if I was drugged and will blame me anyways." Before Kevin could respond, the Madam Director placed her manicure and leaned forward and whispered into his ears, "I want you." Kevin shook his head and took a step back. "Please, Madam Director, we can't do this. It's wrong." "Shh, don't overthink this. I can't do anything with her. My heart belongs to Lily, but if I reject her, she could try and have me killed. How am I supposed to get out of this situation without offending her?" Just then, Kevin heard a voice from outside the door. "Is Madam resting?" The Alliance Director suddenly came to her senses. She quickly zipped up her dress and straightened out her clothes. "Hide! The leader is here." She sat down and took a deep breath to try to calm herself and look like everything was normal. "What is it?" Kevin froze, unsure what to do. It was like a bucket of water had been thrown on the fire in his heart. The Alliance leader was a powerful man. Even though Kevin was innocent, there was no telling what he would do to Kevin if he found him alone in a room with his wife. "What should I do?" Kevin looked around the room anxiously. "Quick, out the window. My room looks out on the hill, so be careful where you land." The director whispered in Kevin's ear. "Good idea." Kevin climbed out the window without thinking twice about it. Thanks to the director's warning, he grabbed the window sill and hung on tightly as his legs dangled outside the building. If he'd jumped straight out, he would certainly have broken his neck. "Be absolutely quiet. Don't even breathe. Otherwise, the Alliance leader will know you're there. And I can't have you die. Not when I have so many plans for you." Then she closed the window.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.